Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Powerful Man Show. I am your host, Doug Holt, with my co-host, Tim, the Powerful Man Matthews. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing very well. Yeah, I'm doing very well. How are you doing?
I'm hanging in there, man. I've had a rough night, as you know, last night, but got some family drama. I'll just, I'm sure some of these guys are dealing with it. I know a couple guys have reached out to me I got one of my parents, adult parents, right? The parents are in their 70s, is just not taking care of themselves, right? In a very bad way, very self-destructive way. So I'm in the process of working on how do I help parent my adult parent, basically, and what can I do? How do you save someone who doesn't want to be saved, so to speak, or they do, but legally I can't do the thing for them yet. So that's what I'm working on. So I was up late last night working on that. It's just a drain, man. It's just when it's somebody you've known your whole life and care about, trying to help somebody.
Yeah, it's tough, isn't it, when you see people you love acting in destructive ways, especially doing the work that we do as well, because you can often see that, it's just a way of addressing their emotional pain, and then for them to not want to participate in their own rescue, let's say, it's hard.
Yeah, you can't save anybody, right? They have to do the work. No. You can just lead the path. And that's what we do at the Powerful Man for the men. We can't do, we always talk about we can't do the push-ups for you. So we set the tone for all the guys, and we have a proven system that works when it's worked, right? And the guys that work it get great results. We were talking about the last podcast you had mentioned, Tim. You were on the call with all the Inner Circle guys, and the Inner Circle is one of our 1-year mastermind groups. So it's coaching. There's a lot of accountability, networking. A lot goes on in that group. But you said every single guy is having the best year ever across the 5 territories. So it's not just business itself, right? The way they feel about themselves, how they're filling their cup, health, which is clearly important, wealth, abundance, and money, and everything else that goes along with that, and time, relationships. That's what a lot of the men come to us for to start with, but they realize there's so much more that we offer. And then, of course, business. And so if these men are crushing it, it's because they're following the system. They're following the plan. They're working it. And it's awesome to see.
Sure is.
Well, you had an interesting topic you wanted to throw on the table today, just before I hit the record button. So what do you want to chat about?
So we're getting a lot of requests and comments around emotional safety, right? The idea of creating emotional safety for your wife. And, to be fair, I think this could be true, some of these elements for a lot of the women in your life in general, right? Whether it's your daughter or other people. But regardless, in particular, we're getting a lot of requests how to create emotional safety for your wife, right? Because often if there's a lack of intimacy, be it physical touch, be it holding hands, be it sex, be it whatever, right? If there's a lack of intimacy, then oftentimes that can be because your wife doesn't feel emotionally safe around you. Therefore, her walls are up, and, even if she does have sex, sometimes it doesn't go that well because it may even hurt because she's not really that bought into being there, quite honestly. She might be doing it just to kind of keep you happy. So anyway, I think it'd be good to just dive into this idea of emotional safety and talk about, the top 3 ways, in my opinion anyway, that you can create emotional safety for your wife.
Let's do it. What's number 1?
So number 1 would be, in my opinion, being a man of your word, right? Doing what you say you are going to do. I don't think, and I know I have been guilty of this in the past, I don't think men realize the impact it has when they break promises. And if they're breaking promises to themselves, then they're going to break promises to the people they love. They just are, right? Because the reality is, one of the strongest forces in anyone's psychology, right, is a need to stay consistent with who you are, right, to uphold your own self-image. So if you then create promises to yourself and break them, then the self-image that you have is of someone who breaks promises. It may not be, you may not have thought of it that way, but subconsciously, that'll form part of your self-image. And if you do this in your relationship, and let's say you're going to be home on a certain time and something comes up at work and it's just not possible for you to be there on time, but maybe you don't communicate, or maybe it turns out to be a pattern and it happens every night, then essentially you become someone that is untrustworthy. And if you're untrustworthy, then it doesn't really create emotional safety.
Very true. I mean, when you think about being trustworthy, the most precious thing a woman's going to share with you is her heart, right? And if you've broken out down the trust in other areas, internally, probably subconsciously, but maybe consciously, she's going to be like, can I trust you with my emotions, my heart, my soul, so to speak? And people are going to use different words for this. But really what it comes down to is, can she trust you with her intimacy, right? And that's what it plays out in the bedroom as well. And a lot of guys miss that. And like you said, Tim, it starts off with her watching you honor promises or break them to yourself. That, I'm just gonna go carnivore. I'm just gonna be vegan, or I'm gonna do this diet, or I'm gonna do tomorrow morning, I'm gonna go wake up at 4 a.m. and I'm gonna conquer the day. And the alarm goes off at 4 and you hit the snooze button, not once, not twice, but 3 times. And you do it again next week and the day after. And these broken promises are like putting up more and more walls between you and your wife and that intimacy there.
For sure. And she's going to test you as well, right? She's going to, and we call this a shit test, but she's going to put hurdles in your way to see how reliable you are with your word. Do you stay true to your word even in the face of a challenge? Because if you are staying true to your word in the face of a challenge, then guess what? You stay true to your word with her in the face of a challenge. I think it's a really important point to emphasize, because we speak to a lot of men and they make a lot of excuses. And I've been there, guys, so I get it. It kind of sucks to have this realization when you actually choose to accept it, that hang on a minute, the tiny little ways in which I don't honor my word. Come on, that's just petty. That doesn't matter. She should understand. I'm busy. I've got a lot on. I'm juggling. She doesn't get it. I think there's so much opportunity for the men to create more connection with their wife if they really understand this, even just this one principle, and actually really apply it. And part of this as well means, look, don't hype yourself up as much in your relationship. Don't talk as much about what you're going to do and because then you set the expectation and the bar high. Just go about and do your thing.
What do they say? Actions speak louder than
words.
Exactly.
So that's the first way anyway. So to be consistent, to be a man of your word. The second way is validation. So what I mean by validation is, in order to create emotional safety, a woman wants to be seen and heard, right? I can remember talking to Amelia many years ago, and she's like, "Oh, what do you love about me?" I fell into a trap. I said, "Oh, well, your eyes, and I love the clothes that you wear, and you just fit." And I just basically described loads of physical things about her. And she was like, and I thought I was on the money as well when I was saying these things. Like, these are great compliments. Like, and she felt like I just didn't see her at all. She's like, "Yeah, but what do you love about me that isn't a physical attribute?" And I'm like,
you ask good questions.
Yeah. I'm going to go to the gym now.
Yeah.
So I said I'd go to the gym at 5. It's 5 past 5. I'm going.
Yeah.
So yeah, the validation piece. This is one of the reasons why we give the men the hidden motives technique, right? It's a way to be able to understand and decipher how to create an environment, really, that your wife feels seen and heard in.
Yeah, I mean, the hidden motives technique is the best thing, obviously, we've ever found, and it's a technique that you get to do as a man that your wife doesn't have to be involved in, right? There's nothing she has to be involved in, so to speak. You don't have to declare anything. It's a series of steps and pivots at times that you're able to do so your wife really feels heard and seen for the first time, maybe even ever. And what kills a lot of guys, because we get this too, guys, is a lot of men come in and their wife has had an affair, or maybe she's having one now. And maybe it's just an emotional affair. But oftentimes when we get a chance to talk to the women, or the guy finds out why did you start this? Well, he just saw me differently. He's paid attention to me, and it's things of that nature. And the guy was wondering, like, well, I'm home all the time. I'm here. And it's to Tim's point, what's going on. And what you're talking about with your Amelia was like, hey, you're not seeing me. That's the physical presence. You're seeing the superficial parts. And the hidden motive techniques allows your wife to really feel seen. And like I said, a lot of guys will be married 20 years and they'll use the hidden motives technique, and the wife will say, wow, I feel seen for the first time in my life. That's a huge statement. And using that part of the triadic connection is, it's one of the three aspects of the triadic connection is the hidden motives technique. That really flips the script almost immediately for a lot of men. Obviously there's other things you need to do. That's why we have the triad and some supportive structures to it. But yeah, Tim, you're spot on there.
Yeah, it's huge. It's huge. It really is. I'm just thinking of instances this past week, actually, with guys in the inner circle that have shared with me the breakthroughs that they've had in their relationship. Obviously, it levels up, right? Then you hit a hurdle, you break through it, levels up, hurdle, so on. And a couple of them hit a hurdle this week, and the way in which they broke through it, and really it was all through them creating emotional safety for their wife. Mm-hmm. One of them stood there for 45 minutes, creating emotional safety, being present with his wife, still creating boundaries because she tried to, insult him or disrespect him. And he said, hey, look, I'm here for you. I want to hear what's going on for you. And you're going to share it with me in a way that you respect me. Okay.
Fierce. Yeah.
Yeah. And anyway, 45 minutes later, she gets to the end of it and then just drops a towel. Come here. He's like, whoa, where did that come from? The other one, they do something a little bit differently in their relationship to create the connection or the validation that creates the emotional safety. But the result was very similar. The path was different, but the result was very similar. And that's the beauty of this. When you understand how important emotional safety is and how to then create it, it may look differently relationship to relationship in terms of the mechanics, because every relationship is different, right? But the framework is the same and the outcome is as well. And the outcome for this particular man in his relationship was, he said, every kind of bagel.
Yeah, the everything bagel.
The everything bagel. So bagels is a word they use for sex. So second way is definitely validation, creating a space within the relationship where she feels seen and heard. And then the third way in which to create emotional safety. So we've had honoring your word, we've had validating, so having her be seen and heard. The third way is then to take responsibility.
Love it.
I'll let you speak to that one.
Yeah, I mean, taking responsibility, a lot of people talk about it. Very few people do it. Very few people take full responsibility. A lot of times we'll take responsibility for our tasks or our business, but are you taking responsibility for the results in your life? That's where the difference, that's when I realized that all the results I was getting in every area of my life, all the 5 territories, so self, health, wealth, relationships, and business, were my responsibility. It was a kick in the gut, man, because that meant being a little overweight that's on me. That's not on me blaming, oh, I got little kids, so there's snacks everywhere. No, that's, dude, you're a grown man. You can figure that out. Or if my relationship's great, but if it wasn't great at the time, back when my marriage was struggling, if, this is when I started taking extreme ownership, like really extreme ownership. That's my result, is my marriage isn't working. I wanted to blame my wife, and maybe, okay, 50-50, Doug. But the reality, when I took extreme ownership, I was able to lead. And from that position, guys, you're able to change, right? You're able to make massive changes, and sometimes it means getting help, and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it means just taking action. But you got to be real with yourself first. And if you listen before, where Tim, in our last episode, Tim talks about drawing, what is your fuck yes? Or I can't remember which one to use. We call it fuck yes, fuck no, or sometimes we don't like to cuss. We saw hell yes, hell no, heck yes. You do whatever you want to do. I'm tired, so I'm just I'm letting it fly today. But write on those papers, right? What is it? Take inventory in all your relationships. You are directly responsible for the results that you're getting. And I know there's a lot of you guys listening right now that are triggered. They're mad because they disagree with me. No, Doug, you don't understand. My wife cheated. No, Doug, you don't understand. My business partner did this, or whatever it may be, the economy, right? The politics. No, take ownership of it. I love the phrase. I'm going to bring this because, we work with so many business owners as a consultant, right? As somebody that goes into businesses for all over the world for men. And when we look at them, Tim, oftentimes we'll hear people say, well, my industry is different, right? And so this is what's going on in my industry with regulation or whatever it is. And the question I love asking is there anybody in your industry right now that's killing it? Well, yeah, boom. If there is, guess what? They figured it out. You're making excuses. Let's take extreme ownership here. If there's somebody else in your industry that's killing it right now, then that means you have the ability to do so if you take ownership. But that you have to take ownership of that first. And it also goes with your marriage, guys. I'm not saying your marriage is going to work out because you take ownership of it. I'm not saying that at all. I'm not saying your wife's not doing things that are wrong. I'm not saying your wife's not hurting your marriage. I'm not saying any of that. We're just saying take ownership and take extreme ownership of it. And the word extreme is just like real radical ownership. And that starts with taking inventory and then realizing, hey, the results that I'm getting in my life are a product of me, my decisions, the way I'm being, the way I'm showing up, and probably a product of your tools. If you don't have the right tools, if you don't have the hidden motives technique, which we talked about, or the triadic connection, I get it. That's an issue, but take ownership and go get it. It's available to you. You know now. Now you can go get it.
Well, yeah, and the point I want to yeah, I think it's hugely important, isn't it? That's how, look at the video in the background. So Will got two dogs, Wilma, the girl, Paddy, the boy. Wilma walks onto the seat, walks on Paddy, sits on him. It's like, okay, so that's how their relationship works. Anyway, the point I want to emphasize there is taking responsibility in your relationship as well. Like you said, for your shortcomings, to clean up your side of the street. We've spoken about that many times. So important. This is why the clean slate letter that the men deliver, and we've had guys that have delivered multiple clean slates over the years of them being with us, be it to their wife, be it to other people. And the part of the reason why the clean slate letter is so effective is because it gives the men a space to take responsibility in a way that honestly they're not really used to taking, or they've never taken responsibility in that way before. And when they do it, oftentimes it results in the wife being shocked, quite honestly. And it's from that shock that it's like, okay, well, let's see where this goes. Obviously, they've got to follow through with their actions and be a man of the word and the other things that we're talking about here. It's so important. It's so easy to let your pride take a hit, right? When there's an argument in the relationship, something you don't disagree with. No, well, she's wrong. She can come to me and she can apologize and all of that stuff. You can still clean up your side of the street And we spoke about this on a podcast last week. That was called episode 447, How to Stop from Getting Sucked into Your Wife's Moods. You can still do that in a way whereby you're maintaining a boundary and taking responsibility, right? So you're not being a pushover. So you can still do it in a healthy way that is going to continue to produce more respect and more emotional safety.
Now you're spot on. And so what do you think happens when men apply all three of these things, Tim?
It's a game changer. It changes their life, never mind the marriage.
Yeah. Completely.
You know, the marriage is just a byproduct of them. Their standards shift. How they see themselves and the way that they play at the game of life, they play it in a different way. And this is where, you know, we talk about doors opening in walls that they were previously trying to climb over or walk around, right? This is one of the ways in which it happens. They elevate. And with that, opportunities elevate. The people around them elevate. It changes their life.
Yeah. And I mean, again, I keep going back to the same comment, but, you know, you talked about today before we got on to record the previous podcast. You were on a call with a group of men who are having the best year in their life. These are men in their 30s, 40s, and 50s, right? Best year of their life, not just monetarily, though that does count, not just in their relationships, though that does count, the best year of their life across all boards. And that's because these guys take extreme ownership. They follow all three of these aspects. They're validating the people around them. They're using the hidden motives technique. They're honoring their word. They clearly have the other men in that group are keeping them accountable. We as coaches are guiding them along the way, and the other systems that we have put in place, and they're reaping the rewards. Of course, everybody around them just thinks they're lucky. Right?
I mean, just imagine what your life would look like, right? If you only said yes to things that were a fuck yes, because you honor your word.
Yeah.
You only commit to things that you want in your life because you know that when you say yes to something, yes means yes and no means no. Just imagine what that does for your self-confidence. Imagine just listening to that, you feel something. It ignites something inside of you. Just imagine taking that into business negotiations or how you lead your team, or just imagine the level that you'd hold your team accountable to when you hold yourself to that standard. And just imagine how much different your business would operate, how much more time you'd get back because you'd have certain people in there operating in a certain way. Just imagine what your health would look like if you were then consistent and you're honoring your word. And I could go on and on. You're painting the picture in all 5 territories. It's huge. Just 3 very simple concepts that do create emotional safety for your wife, but also transform your life if you choose to use them. That's the key. You've got a choice. You listen to this podcast, you have a choice. Are you going to choose to use them or not?
Well, you know what I'm going to say, Tim? Guys, if you listen to this, you'll know too. In the moment of action or insight, in the moment of insight, it's time to take action. And the taking action is using these 3 things that Tim has laid out here for you guys, right? You have 3 options, and I'd recommend using all 3. But even if you want to start small, start by doing 1. Start by honoring your word, right? Start there. That's a great place to start. Now, if you want to do all 3, you're going to get better results. There's more than just these 3. These are the top 3. There's the 3 things you can do today in this moment. Whether you're at the gym, you're driving your car, you're going for a walk, you're doing the dishes, I don't care. Right here, right now, you get to make a decision that could change the trajectory of the rest of your life, and not only your life, but the people around you. Men, that's why we do what we do here at The Powerful Man. It's a movement of men just like you, just like me, just like Tim, just like the men in the inner circle. Right? We're here for you guys. Gentlemen, that's a wrap for us here at The Powerful Man Show. As always, go over to our free community on Facebook, guys. Join that community, get active. We have a post in there right now asking you guys, what do you want us to talk about on these podcasts? And that's where we're getting a lot of these topics from, is directly from you. This is your way to get free coaching, right? Free high-end coaching from Tim and I and the rest of the team over here at The Powerful Man. So guys, until next time, always take action and we're in your corner. We'll see you next time on The Powerful Man Show.